Hello everyone, it's me, your personal squid type guy. I didn't anticipate taking such a long break after the end of season 1, but sometimes in life you must. I had planned on taking a short break, but then I broke my hand and messed my jaw up really bad, which bummed me out, and once that mostly healed, I decided to get 4 lip piercings at once, which made me not so good at talking for a while. But now, I'm back to being functional and I'm ready to rock and roll. Today, we are finally beginning our descent into the second season of 2-Sentence Horror Stories. Episode 1 is called Bagman, and according to Netflix, it's a group of high school seniors lands in detention and falls prey to a terrifying villain. Like I've said before, when I started making these videos, I'd already seen a few episodes from season 1, and so I wasn't going in completely blind. Season 2, however, I am completely unfamiliar with, and I'm looking at it right now for the first time. Like, I'm flying completely blind here. My initial reaction, though, is that this season seems to be trying a lot harder to actually be a horror series, so that's cool. It's a long shot, but maybe, just maybe, we can get a genuine spook or two out of this season. We start off with a nice empty classroom that seats exactly 18 students. You expect me to believe this is an American public school with classrooms this small? I went to high school, idiot. There would be 93 kids in this class, and they would all be sneezing and coughing on each other. A dozen of them would be doing Fortnite dances, and the rest would be scrolling TikTok in perfect sync. You cannot fool me here. Our first main character appears and immediately gets jump scared by a person just standing still near him. Slowly but surely, the rest of our misfit gang roll into what we are told is a weekend-long detention for someone setting off a firework in school. We got Winton. He's 27 years old and forgot to put an S in his name once, and it stuck. We got Z, the 31-year-old goth student who never learned how to fucking read or write, so she just chose her favorite letter as a name. Gabby is the cheerleader and is 100% not gay, trust me. Sam is actually from the middle school next door, but he saw a group and decided to just go with the flow, I guess. Jax is the outcast rebel who doesn't care about anything and is not a bad actor. He is just struggling with his American accent because it's funny. And finally, we have Principal Gallo, who honestly doesn't mind hanging out at work over the weekend because his marriage ended up being, it didn't last, and so being in that big house all alone is just a lot to take in. This school has a very confusing punishment system. Somebody set off a little firework in gym class, so detention gets handed out. Let's just skip over the fact that detention isn't an actual thing that happens and look at the punishment itself. These 5 students have to come in over the whole weekend to be locked in a room, I guess not locked, but be shut in a room without their phones. There is no way the school has the authority to do this, and even if it did, what parent on the planet would allow this to happen? Dog, it's 2023. If a teacher even called a kid a little stinker, every parent in the school district would take turns stabbing them with pencils. Regardless though, these children and the parents thereof are a-okay with them all being detained for an entire weekend. Principal Gallo himself even admits this is more akin to torture than punishment. He is just trying to get the one person responsible to come clean or convince somebody else to snitch on them. One would assume that if you came forward, you'd receive an additional penalty to the weekend imprisonment, so a confession is unlikely. Not to tell you how to do your job though, Mr. Principal. Ha, I'm not a principal, what do I know? But, Principal Dip here, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Just offer amnesty to the non-offenders, no questions asked, and make it anonymous, and you'll have the culprit in custody by lunchtime. I really like how when the principal tells everyone to give him their phones, Jax gets up and walks a lap around the room. He was actually the one sitting closest, but for some reason decided to get up and just kind of wander around for a second before turning the phone in. I guess he wanted, big main character energy. He had to be the final one. Then he says, "Someone's a snitch, man." Actually, Jax, my boy, the exact opposite is true, and that's why you are all here in this situation. Principal Douglas even said he's punishing everyone because nobody came forward and snitched. Cut to some really dumb and annoying dialogue that instantly leads them to almost getting into a fist fight. They also keep saying first and last names for some reason. I'm not sure I can recall even a single time where a fellow student called me by my full legal name. It doesn't matter though, because the entire purpose of this argument was to move the characters into position so this bag was behind them. Said bag starts wiggling and Winton is the first to notice. I keep saying Winton and I feel like I'm messing up, but it's them who wrote it like that. Winton is also, conveniently, the one person in the room who stood up and moved so the bag was in his blind spot. What he says next, though, is very strange. Hey, Winton, buddy, you were the first person to come into this room, so you actually saw each bag and who it belonged to. You also would have had to stare directly at the suspicious bag on the table to get to the seat you chose. On top of that, you saw everyone give their phones to the principal, so why would you assume it was a phone in the bag? Not to keep talking about my time in high school, but I did not have 2 phones. I didn't know anyone who did. I didn't get multiple phones until I was in my 20s and I was in like a serious committed relationship. And what kind of phone vibrates that powerfully anyways? It's shaking this entire huge bag enough to knock things off the table. Oh yeah, you know the new Samsung Galaxy actually has a small diesel generator inside it to power just the haptic features. When people go to movie theaters and turn their phones on vibrate, we risk a small seismic event happening if they all get a phone call at the same time. He decides to do the thing everyone would do and go open the strange, unattended bag that is shaking. Surprise, surprise, what he finds inside is both unsettling and spooky. It's a white guy. Understandably, Winton freaks out, throws the bag down, and then he kind of stumbles backwards. All the other students look at him with just general annoyance and not even a lick of concern. I always like this in movies and shows when a character is really freaked out by something, like, oh geez, and everyone around them is like, can you please stop being stupid? You are bringing the vibes down. Why are you acting like this? If somebody picked up a random bag and I was in the same room as them and said it had a human face in it, I would screech loud and I would run out of the room so fast I left an after image. Checking the bag or asking for further information would not even cross my mind for a moment. I would be leaving a piss trail as I ran out. A human face? Why would someone make that up? That's horrifying. Z is built different though. What she lacks in name, or letters in her name really, she makes up for in courage. I think it's funny that she mocks Winton and calls him a big dumb idiot, but slowly inches towards the bag in fear. She even kicks it rather than just grabbing it. Do you believe him or not, bitch? Pick a side. Quick detour to just once again call attention to the fact that the actor who is playing Jax is doing a terrible job of staying American. He bounces around between a host of different regional American accents and some weird Australian-British fusion. 0 out of 10, perfect casting for a CW show. Cut to a dramatic lighting change, and everyone is just chilling. They're kind of sitting, doing whatever. Presumably, several hours have passed by now because it looks like it's quite late in the day, evening time. Only now does Jax get fed up and bored and decide he is going to engage in rebellious activities. I guess nobody's left the room until now to go to the bathroom. How nice that these students could put aside their differences and use democracy to designate a community pissing area, because I don't see any huge puddles anywhere, so I gotta imagine that's what they're doing. Wow, what an anarchist. He put a sticker on that camera lens that, kind of blocks its view. Establishment equals own. Hope you like your camera only being able to see mostly the exact same stuff, idiots. Cue some weird-ass CW dialogue about racism. Gabby and Winton complained that if they did that, they'd both be expelled. Never say never, but I'm pretty sure if an otherwise model student put a tiny sticker on a very easily reachable camera, the school would probably just be confused and be like, yo, why did you post cringe on Maine like that? Then they would make Tim, the overweight janitor with 7 kids, take it down just so that he could sigh and go, ah, damn kids. Jax goes to the bathroom and for some reason decides to grab the bag, the suspicious head bag, and take it with him. I'm not sure if he wanted to piss into the bag or was just lonely, but either way, that choice proves to be his downfall. You see, a man comes out of the bag and gets him in rather confusing fashion too. You see, Jax is standing at the sink and he dies by getting his face, I think I just had a stroke, gets his face pushed into the mirror, which, as we all know, makes blood come out of your mouth, just your mouth, and it kills you instantly. My only question is, how in the world did Bag Boy even get Jax's head to touch the mirror? There's like 3.5 feet of counter space between him and the mirror right now, but this shot of his face hitting the mirror, it looks like he, I don't know, it looks like he was was pushed from like 4 to 6 inches away. What? Principal Gallo comes storming into the room, and he is pissed that Jax is not in detention anymore. He also grabs the bag from in the hallway and brings it back into the room. A very poor choice that gets compounded upon when he decides to also lock the door from the outside to prevent any more escape attempts. And oh geez, oh my god, the bag starts rustling again. This time everybody sees it, not just Winton. Winton, wow buddy. He's really taken on the role of a hero here by just standing in the far back and saying, someone do something. They all assume it's just a little prank by Jax, and so Z once again steps up to grab the bag, only this time Jax's head is inside it. She throws his severed head across the room, causing Sam, the little kid, to lose his marbles. He slowly shuffles forward towards the bag while chanting, "This isn't real, it's a joke." Rest in peace, little buddy. The bag man got you, and now we'll never see you graduate middle school. What the fuck are they all doing? They're just running back and forth across the room while yelling and grabbing random things. At one point, they move a table a few inches, and I genuinely have no idea why. Eventually, they shut themselves in the supply closet and block the door with a broom. It's not even really a closet. It's like a full other room. But I guess the bag man is strong enough to instantly crunch a human being to death, but he can't pull the door hard enough to overpower children or a singular broom. Ah, yes. Nothing like immediate mortal danger to get you into a confession mood if you're a show or movie character. Z comes clean. She set off the firework because she thought Gabby and Winton were dating. They also talk about how Jax got Sam involved in this whole scandal just because he likes to, quote unquote, annoy him, which makes them all laugh. Oh, yeah. Remember when that small child got ripped to shreds in front of us a couple minutes ago? Good times. After a while in the supply room, they decide enough is enough and they need to go on the offensive. Kind of a strange plan, considering the monster has seemingly given up on opening the door, and it would take at most, an hour or two for help to arrive? But sure, pop off, have your hero arc. Right before they come out of the closet, Gabby turns around and says, "By the way, I just realized I've always been gay." Very clever, CW. That's truly inspired writing. I want to take this time to address something and apologize. In the live viewing of this episode, I kept saying the bag man looked like Robert Englund. Is that Robert Englund? Is that Robert Englund? It kind of looks like him. Oh no, Robert. I don't know if that is Robert Englund. It really kind of maybe looks like him. No, he does not. I'm not sure what I was smoking, but this dude does not look like Robert Englund at all. They have a little scuffle, a tussle even, if you will, with the bag lord, and they end up locking him in the closet. He isn't gay yet, though, so he's trapped for the time being. Then they pull the fire alarm, and Principal Gallo looks at the security camera and just freaks out. He sees 2 dead bodies in there, well, I guess a severed head and a dead body, and he puts the school in lockdown mode, trapping the children inside the room with at least a murderer, because he can't see the monster yet, but he knows that death has happened. But there is actually a monster in there, so what he does here, he just dooms them all to die. What a shocker, dude. You put the school on lockdown mode and it locked down. I'm not sure, by the way, if this episode ends with a subtitle error, but at the very end of the episode, the last thing anyone says, Principal Gallo is banging on his office door and he's screaming something. You can't really tell what he's saying because it's kind of mixed poorly for that. He's really quiet and everything else is really loud, but the subtitles say he's shouting, "Help me, please, help." Brother, you don't need help. The children do. You're fine. I loved this episode. That isn't even sarcasm. I'm so excited for season 2 after this. I genuinely had a great time watching it. If I had friends, I wouldn't even be mad if we threw this little thing on while we were hanging out. It was terrible in like a funny haha way and not an A24 The Lighthouse kind of way. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, so what? I'm not a fan of The Lighthouse. What are you gonna do about it? Kiss me? Bagman gets a nice Resident Evil mold thumbs up from me. If you're the type of person who enjoys bad horror, you probably would not regret spending 20 minutes laughing at this absolute dog. I will give them props for trying to make something resembling actual horror, but dear God, they missed the mark exquisitely. Because this is the first episode of the new season, there isn't a featured comment, so instead, let's go ahead and just put put a join my Discord or else message there with like a badass picture of a skeleton. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll be back with more horror-related shenanigans soon. See ya!